In every shadow, there's a story the world tried to forget. In every silence, a scream that never stopped echoing. These are the truths buried in cold archives and blood-stained snow. Welcome to the DREAD Diaries, where fear is always real. Like, comment, subscribe, if you're not afraid of what watches you when you sleep. The words spill out like a dare, half-mad, half-whispered, the way only a horror channel would tease its viewers, as if warning them that once they enter the story, there's no turning back. The footage begins with silence. Police body cam lights sweep over a backyard in rural Colorado, where grass is flattened in strange, irregular patches. The homeowner, a trembling woman in a bathrobe, keeps pointing to the Ring camera bolted above her garage. It wasn't a person, she insists. I know what I saw. I know what I heard. Her dog refuses to go outside, even now, hours later. The officer walks her through the basics: timestamp, angle of footage, any trespasser alerts, but she interrupts him with a shaking hand. It crawled. That's how most cases start. Not with drama or screaming or some cinematic encounter. With quiet. With something moving at the edge of night, something pale, low to the ground, almost human but not quite right. And Ring cameras, tireless and indifferent, catch the frames people wish they'd never seen again. When the officer finally reviews the footage, his jaw tightens. He steps back from the screen. The woman asks him what he sees. He doesn't answer. Because what's on the recording is a shape: long, thin arms, knees jutting the wrong way, head tilted forward like a starving animal. It scuttles from the tree-line to the edge of the yard, pauses as if listening, then turns its face toward the camera. One frame, just one, captures sunken eye sockets that reflect the porch light like glass. The officer labels it unidentified person, because that is the only category the system allows. But the homeowner knows what she saw, and she is not the only one. Over the last decade, sightings like this have surfaced everywhere, from Ohio suburbs to Texas ranch towns to British countryside villages to remote outskirts in South America where homes are separated by miles of forest. Different countries, different cultures, same description. Long limbs, pale skin, human-shaped, crawling, too fast, too silent. Police reports rarely confirm anything. Most claim distorted camera data, possible trespasser, or animal misidentification. But residents, the ones who live with the fear, say the same thing the woman in Colorado said. Whatever that was, it wasn't human. The Bennington Police Department in Vermont noted a case of a man claiming a crawler-like figure peeked over his deck at 3 a.m. before vanishing into frozen woods. In Arizona, a teenager swore something followed him home, crawling across the road behind his car. In northern England, a mother reported a pale figure pacing outside her home for over 10 minutes, captured clearly by her infrared doorbell camera. And yet no arrests. No suspects. No footprints that make sense. Law enforcement stays careful with terminology. Person is safer. Unknown subject. Suspicious individual. But when the officers are off record, when the microphones are off and the reports filed, they admit the truth quietly. We don't know what we're looking at anymore. The most unsettling case, however, comes from a quiet neighborhood in North Carolina, where a family disappeared without warning. Their house was untouched. Door locked from inside. Dinner half prepared on the counter. But the last activity detected on their Ring camera showed a figure crawling toward their backyard fence at 2:13 a.m. The timestamp matches the exact window investigators believe the family vanished. The footage went viral for a few hours before platforms removed it for disturbing content. Not because it showed violence. It didn't. It showed something worse. Something unknown watching a home moments before everything inside it went silent. And that similarity, silence, becomes the connecting thread across all encounters. People always describe the same moment before sighting one of these figures. The world goes still. No wind. No insects. No distant traffic. Only quiet, heavy enough to feel like pressure. Then it moves. Long limbs scraping on cement. Elbows bending sharply. Feet dragging. A whisper of breath that microphones almost catch. Different cities, different homes, same sound. Investigators who analyze the footage note that the movement is the most disturbing part, not supernatural, not impossible, but wrong. As if whoever is crawling never learned how to move like a person should. Not an animal. Not a contortionist. Something trying to imitate human movement, and failing. That imitation is what terrifies people the most. Neighbors begin whispering about forest shapes, porch creepers, bone-white trespassers. Online forums call them crawlers, nightwalkers, skin-thins, or simply the things. But officers maintain the same explanation. Unknown individual. Even when the footage doesn't look like a person at all. By late 2023, the reports become frequent enough that independent researchers start compiling a global map of sightings. The pins connect into strange patterns, clusters near forests, near abandoned properties, along power line corridors, on the edge of farming communities. Not random. Not uniform. Something else. Theories multiply. A person living feral in the woods. Drug-induced behavior. Undocumented break-ins. Exposure victims. Severe malnutrition. Pranksters. Deepfake hoaxes. Everything except what people really fear. That this is not a person at all. The story turns when a Ring camera in Minot, North Dakota captures the clearest footage yet. A homeowner named Calvin hears tapping on his back door. No knocking, tapping, as if long fingers are brushing the glass. When he checks the camera, he sees the pale figure crouched low, its spine protruding sharply under tight skin. It doesn't try to open the door. It just presses its face against the glass. Watching. Breathing. Listening. When Calvin opens the door with a flashlight, the figure is gone. Not running. Not limping. Just gone. No tracks. No prints. No marks. But the most chilling detail is what the Ring camera captured after the tapping stopped. A voice. Low. Raspy. Almost like a person learning to speak. Just 2 words, whispered directly into the microphone. Found you. The sound repeats. Over and over. A broken whisper looping inside a quiet investigation room. Found you. Calvin sits hunched forward, elbows on the cold metal table, as detectives replay the audio again. They keep the lights dim to calm him, but it only makes the atmosphere worse. The room feels too close, the shadows too long. He hasn't slept in 30 hours. His hands shake uncontrollably. The lead investigator, a middle-aged woman with a steady voice, finally pauses the recording. Calvin, is there anyone you think might have followed you? Someone with a reason to scare you? He doesn't answer. Because there is someone, or something, following him. He doesn't know how to explain the tapping, the whisper, or the long skeletal silhouette pressed against his door. He only knows he can't go back home. The police keep asking the same questions. Could it be a trespasser? A stalker? Someone from work? A runaway? A homeless person seeking shelter? Every explanation feels painfully human and painfully wrong. Because that thing at his door wasn't trying to break in. It wasn't trying to threaten him. It was studying him. Like a predator taking inventory. But the investigation hits its first wall almost immediately. When the detectives pull the Ring camera files from his account, the motion footage is there, the tapping, the porch, the yard, everything except the figure itself. The 5 seconds where the pale shape pressed its face to the glass? Gone. Not corrupted. Not deleted. Just missing, as if those frames were never recorded in the first place. Calvin swears he didn't edit it. He swears he saw the figure. He swears they're covering something up. But they aren't. They can't find any trace of the footage at all. And that's when he realizes something truly terrifying. It's not just the police who can't keep up with whatever this thing is. The cameras can't either. Across the country, similar cases start collapsing under their own weight. In Ohio, the retired veteran who recorded a crawler in his backyard finds that his SD card won't play the clip anymore. The data is intact, the file size is correct, but the video shows nothing but still darkness. In Arizona, a teen's phone glitch corrupts the moment the pale figure crosses the road. In England, The mother who recorded something pacing her backyard notices that every time she tries to upload the footage, her Wi-Fi drops to 0. Investigators blame technical issues. People online blame hoaxes. But families living through it whisper the same thing. It doesn't want to be recorded. It becomes an unspoken pattern, one no official agency will acknowledge, but every civilian investigator recognizes. The closer the creature gets, the more the footage erases itself. Ring technicians issue boilerplate statements. Police departments stay quiet. But local officers, the ones on the ground, begin showing signs of strain. They start responding to calls slower. They show up with fewer people. They don't walk into the woods alone anymore. Calvin's detective sees the pattern too, even if she won't admit it out loud. She sends a patrol car to sweep his neighborhood. 2 officers circle the property, shining flashlights into the grass. They don't see anything unusual, just long dragging lines in the dirt, as if something heavy crawled rather than walked. But when they circle to the right side of the house, one officer stops abruptly. "Do you smell that?" The other sniffs the air. A sour metallic odor hangs low over the yard, like wet iron mixed with rot. Not overwhelming, but persistent. It makes their eyes water. They mark it in their report. They don't investigate further. They don't stay long. Not after they hear branches snapping deep in the wooded strip behind the yard. Not after a flashlight beam lands on a shape in the grass that looks like a handprint, but the palm is far too long, the fingers too thin, and the spacing impossible for anyone human. Something was there. Recently. Watching. But by morning, those indentations in the grass are gone. Not trampled. Not smoothed. Gone, as if the ground reformed itself overnight. As the investigation spirals, Calvin loses his grip on calm. He's placed in temporary lodging while detectives work through his case, but he refuses to stand near windows. He refuses to stay on the ground floor. He refuses to sleep unless the lights are on and his back is against a wall. He tells investigators something that makes them pause. It wasn't tapping randomly. It was tapping a pattern. 4 taps, then 3. 4, then 3. Like it was trying to see if I'd respond. Like it knew I was awake. When they ask him what it wanted, Calvin says something that chills the entire room. It wasn't hunting. It was choosing. For every one sighting that's reported, dozens more stay buried in private group chats, local rumor circles, or ring support tickets flagged as sensitive. Some homeowners delete their clips the moment they see the pale figure. Some move out immediately. Some don't tell their families what they saw. Because how do you explain something that crawls like a starving animal but watches like a person? Something that moves silently but breathes heavily enough to fog the edges of a microphone? The second wall hits when investigators try to track similar cases. A number of police departments that once listed unidentified persons in backyards or tree lines quietly remove those logs from public access. Some reports simply vanish. Officers claim they were merged into broader categories, but locals whisper something else. Someone doesn't want the patterns to show. When Calvin's detective calls a department in Vermont to compare notes, the chief gives her a strange answer. "Yeah, we had a similar incident." She asks for a case number. Silence. Then, "I can't send the files. They're not here anymore." The chief hangs up. By the end of the week, the danger escalates again, this time not for Calvin, but for the investigation. The raw ring video containing the whispered "found you" disappears as well. The detectives go to retrieve it from evidence storage, and the drive is blank. Not wiped. Not erased. Not corrupted. Just blank. Empty. As if the data was never there. They question each other. They check logs. They check sign-ins and exits and camera coverage and storage timestamps. Nothing makes sense. Nothing adds up. Calvin overhears the argument from the hallway, raised voices, disbelief, confusion. And that's when it hits him. It's not just him the thing is stalking. It's the investigation. Every piece of proof. Every clip. Every recording. Something is erasing all of it. Something that doesn't want anyone to know it exists. That night, as Calvin sits alone in the motel room the police assigned him for safety, he hears it again. Not tapping. Not scratching. Breathing. Slow, muffled breathing coming from the air vent behind his bed. He presses his ear to the metal grate. A voice, faint, broken, almost human, whispers from the darkness on the other side. Close enough. The vent goes silent. Calvin stumbles back in terror, knocking over the lamp, heart pounding so violently he nearly loses balance. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't turn off the lights. And he doesn't realize that his Ring account, the one he hasn't logged into since the incident, has just uploaded new footage automatically. A clip recorded at 3:14 a.m. A clip the police never authorized. A clip showing the vent cover shaking. From the inside. Calvin wakes to the hollow clang of metal, the vent shuddering again. Not violently. Not aggressively. Just testing. As if something inside is brushing a fingertip against the grate. He doesn't move. Not at first. He lies frozen beneath the motel's thin sheet, staring at the vent in the darkness, listening to the quiet mechanical hum of the heater mixed with something slower, wetter, almost organic. His pulse thunders in his ears. When the grate rattles a second time, he forces himself to stand. He backs into the far corner of the room, as far from the vent as possible, and calls the detectives. Only one answers. Her voice sounds tired, thinned out, like she hasn't slept since the case began. Calvin, calm down. Stay on the line. We're on our way. But her voice fades at the edges, like she's not convinced they'll get there in time. When the police arrive 20 minutes later, the vent is silent. Perfectly still. They unscrew the grate, shine flashlights inside, and find nothing but dust and a few strands of loose insulation. They dismiss it as stress, paranoia, exhaustion. But Calvin knows what he heard, what he felt. And the detective's expression betrays the same truth. She believes him more than she'll ever say out loud. She takes him outside for air. The parking lot is cold, almost painfully quiet. A thin fog rolls across the asphalt, swirling around their shoes. The sun isn't up yet, but the darkness feels thicker than it should. Heavy. Watching. Calvin, she says softly. I need to show you something. She pulls out her phone and scrolls through a secure folder. Images, logs, screenshots from other departments. The cases she mentioned but never explained. The ones that never had enough evidence. The first photo shows a long fingerprint carved into soft mud, impossibly thin, impossibly deep. The second shows a blurred figure in a backyard camera, white, low to the ground, limbs jointed wrong. The third is a police report summary. Subject moves between blind spots. Camera desyncs at same time. No human could time this perfectly. Calvin's chest tightens. The detective lowers her voice. They're not human trespassers, she says. It's something else. Something we can't study because we can't capture it properly. Every time we get close, the evidence disappears. She hesitates, then adds. And whatever it is, it's getting bolder. They head back inside the station, the safest place left, or so the detective claims. But the moment Calvin steps through the lobby, every monitor in the building glitches at once. Static. Black lines. Then complete darkness. Officers stop mid-task. Phones flicker. Body cam feeds freeze. The security cameras feed nothing but white noise. Calvin feels a slow, creeping realization. It's here. Not physically, not crawling across the lobby floor, but close enough to break electronics, close enough to distort systems miles away from his motel vent. The detective swears under her breath and rushes to the monitoring room. When she boots the system manually, a single video window appears on screen. A Ring camera. Calvin's Ring camera. Streaming live. The timestamp reads now, the same minute they lost power. At first, the porch looks empty. The yard looks undisturbed. Nothing moves. Nothing breathes. Then something shifts at the very edge of the frame. Not a figure, not fully. Just the curve of a limb. Too thin. Too long. bending in a way a shoulder shouldn't bend. The system audio crackles. A breath. A low, scraping inhale. Close to the microphone. The detective leans forward, horrified. "Calvin, it's still at your house." The feed distorts. Pixels smear. The shape inches forward, slow, deliberate, calculated. Like it knows it's being watched. Like it knows the camera isn't supposed to see it. Another breath fogs the mic. Then a whisper breaks through the static. Not words, but a sound shaped like one. "Come back." The feed cuts to black. The monitors die completely. The entire station falls silent. Officers scramble to reboot systems, but every device that touched the feed is now frozen. Dead. As if viewing the creature, even indirectly, burned through the hardware. Calvin feels the weight of the moment settle into one truth. Wherever he goes, it follows. Whatever it is. It's tied to him now. Not because he filmed it. Not because he escaped. But because it chose him. The detective pulls him aside, voice trembling for the first time. "We need to get you somewhere off-grid. Somewhere without cameras, phones, anything it can manipulate." Calvin nods, shaking. But before they move, an officer bursts into the hall, pale, sweating. "You need to see this." He's holding a printed photo. Still warm from the machine. It's from the station's own security footage, captured moments before the cameras failed. It shows Calvin walking into the lobby. The detective behind him. Officers at their desks. And in the far left corner, behind the potted plant, a figure crouches low to the ground. White. Emaciated. Face turned toward the camera. Its limbs folded wrong. Its eyes, if they are eyes, two dark, empty hollows. Calvin staggers backward, nearly falling. The detective snatches the photo, hands shaking. The timestamp reads 1 minute before they arrived. Meaning the creature wasn't at his house. Wasn't outside. It was already inside the police station before they even got there. And worse, they never saw it. None of them. Not with their eyes. Only with the camera. And the camera is now dead. Panic ripples through the building. Officers grab gear. Some argue over whether to evacuate. Others lock doors, as if a creature that slips through vents and blind spots cares about locks. Calvin stares down the hallway. He feels it. Not a sound. Not a movement. Just presence, a pressure like cold fingers trailing down the back of his neck. He knows it's close. The detective grabs his arm. "Don't look." But he does. At the very end of the corridor, just before the emergency lights flicker out, a pale hand pulls back around a doorway. Quiet. Slow. Deliberate. Choosing. The hall goes black. A gasp escapes Calvin, involuntary, weak, as every emergency light dies at once. The building plunges into absolute darkness. Somewhere in the pitch black, something crawls. Soft. Measured. Drawn-out movements. No rushed scrambling. No animal panic. Just a slow approach, like it's savoring the moment. Something brushes Calvin's shoe. He doesn't scream. He can't. A whisper curls up from the dark, brushing the skin beneath his ear. "Found you." The detective's hand yanks him backward. Boots slam. Doors crash open. Officers shout each other's names. Flashlights punch through the dark, illuminating nothing. No creature. No movement. Just the echo of something sliding away deeper into the station. When the lights finally return, the hall is empty. But on the tile floor, smeared faintly in dust, is a long drag mark, leading straight into the ventilation grate. The same grate that is now pried open. From the inside. They never find the creature. But one thing remains, one final haunting twist the agency cannot ignore. Calvin is missing. No forced entry. No blood. No struggle. Just a single line scratched into the wall beside the open vent, written in long, trembling strokes. "He heard me."